Hi John, my name is Jessica Clymer. I'm from Zanesville, Ohio. I'm 23 years old. This is the first journal entry of a very long hike.
I'm a little nervous, I admit. Not about equipment or gear or anything, but I think attitude-wise.
Well, to get ready to come up here, I did some hiking in the evening, carrying sandbags and bricks and walking a couple of miles.
I'm very excited. I'm a novice hiker. I can't even put my sleeping bag in my compression sack. How am I going to walk over 2,000 miles on the Appalachian Trail?
Last spring in Georgia, we asked hikers to keep video journals as they walk 2,100 miles to the summit of Mount Katahdin, Maine. What'll they go through to make it here? Hi, I'm John Viehman. Join us on the legendary Appalachian Trail for a two-part special as we make our own adventure on Trailside. What's it take to cross the line between dreaming about a long hike in the woods and actually doing it? Well, these white blazes mark the Appalachian Trail, the granddaddy of all hikes, running across America's oldest mountain range. And each year, about 1,500 people cross that line and try to cover the entire distance. That's an accomplishment called a thru-hike. Now, most of them are beginners, eager for an adventure that's partly physical, but mostly mental. And only about 200 of them will actually finish, experienced, weather-hardened, at home in the wild. And among that select group are grandmothers, a blind man and his dog, even an Englishman with the trail name Duke of Gorp. Well, right now, we're on the Appalachian Trail about halfway between Georgia and Maine, just above the road that leads into Harper's Ferry, West Virginia. And about 2.5 months ago, we gave a group of hikers these 4.5-pound video cameras. And they've been carrying them north ever since, alone and with others, making personal journals. Now, some of them will make it this far, some won't. Well, let's check in with them back in the beginning last spring.
Hi John, I'm Beverly Hugo. I'm talking to you from my home in Portland, Maine. And in a few days, I'm going to be heading off to Springer Mountain to start my thru-hike. I first got the idea to do this thru-hike last summer after a very inspiring trip in Baxter State Park. Someone mentioned to me about the idea of thru-hiking, and it absolutely fascinated me, and I decided this was the challenge.
It's something that I've always wanted to do since I was young, and reading a book that came out, I believe, in the early 70s called Walk Across America just kind of confirmed my feelings that I'd like to meet different people along the way and just experience some adventure and see what would happen.
Well, we've been married together 35 years, and I'd read about the Appalachian Trail several years ago. In fact, we went to an Appalachian Trail convention over in Pennsylvania, and we enjoyed that. And the first thing we noticed there was most of the people at the convention were older folks, not younger folks. And I found that already on the trail. The first hiker we met was a retired gentleman. So I thought it's not too late for us to try too.
And I thought if he was going to do it, I'm going to do it too. He's not going to leave me at home.
When I got to Georgia, I think I had one person I was really looking for, and I'd never seen her before in my life. So I know it sounds kind of tough to manage, but I had met Jessica, who you see behind me, along with Becky. I'd met her through the Appalachian Trail Conference newsletter, and we had written back and forth and talked on the phone a lot.
I think we're all going to become really good friends and have a lot of good times together. I've wanted to do the AT for a while now, started planning in August, so I think I'm pretty prepared. Still have some doubts about some things, but I figure time will work those out. My biggest fear for hiking the AT is that I might not want to do it anymore. I might get tired of it. So I'm just going to take one day at a time and just see how it goes.
Well, let's see what I have in here. For starters, I have a little Walkman. I think this is probably pretty essential for me. I like music, and I understand you can get most of the FM stations except at Western North Carolina, according to the books that I've read. I have my towel. I have some a data book, the Thru-Hiker's Hand Guide, some addresses, the trail guide. I'm wondering if I really need that trail guide, since I do have the data book. Books do weigh a lot, I sure found out.
A journey of over 2,000 miles begins with a single step. And for those who wish to hike the Appalachian Trail, that first step is to contact the Appalachian Trail Conference here in Harpers Ferry, West Virginia. In addition to providing resource materials, the conference coordinates over 5,000 volunteers responsible for maintaining the trail. Hi, David.
Morning, John. How you doing today?
Good. You going to show me around?
Yeah, let's go take a look at the map.
Well, David Brill took that first step in 1979 when he hiked the entire Appalachian Trail. Since then, he's worked in the outdoors as an outfitter and a writer. I see they've got your book on sale. Now, how much experience did you have before you started planning for your trip?
John, I was a total neophyte. I did what I could with what was available, but things have changed a lot since then. Let me show you how it's done today.
Okay.
This is the Appalachian Trail in red, coursing through 14 states along the East Coast. And the first major decision that hikers need to make is direction. Whether to start north and hike south or to hike from south to north. About 15% of the hikers start at Baxter State Park on Katahdin and hike south. The remaining 85% start south and hike north.
Now, why do so many of them start in the south?
There are really three good reasons. For one thing, for the first 3 months you're hiking with spring. Beyond that, there's ample water along the way, and you're also hiking through some of the hottest states during some of the cooler months of the year. Whereas if you decide to hike from north to south, right off the bat you encounter 100 miles of really rough wilderness. Beyond that, there are a lot of bugs, and you really can't get an early start. Katahdin doesn't open until May 15th.
Okay, well, our thru-hikers started about mid-March, so they should have plenty of time, right?
They should have more than ample time to reach Katahdin before the snow starts to fly and they close the mountain on October 15th.
Just that window of time, it's probably important to have a certain number of miles you're covering every day, right?
Most hikers really do spend some time in drafting a rough schedule, and a typical schedule will include destinations and also daily mileage. And a real good way to put together a schedule like this is the Appalachian Trail Data Book. The data book includes detailed information on road crossings, town stops, shelters, campsites, water crossings.
So this is how you'd figure out where to resupply, right?
Yeah, and there are really two ways to resupply on the Appalachian Trail. One is to use mail drops, and the other is to shop in grocery stores along the way.
The mail drops, how do they work?
A mail drop is a prepackaged box of food that's prepared ahead of your trip before you leave. Folks back home send these to you, care of general delivery at post offices along the way. You just walk in and pick up your supplies.
And they know when and where to send them based on your schedule?
Based on your schedule.
Well, we're 2 weeks down the trail now, and we're just ready to brush our teeth tonight, which we do twice a day. We've learned quite a few things the last 2 weeks, not to step on little rocks and not to follow my wife too close, because I never know where she's going to stop and get me off balance. And we've enjoyed the 2 weeks very much. We're still getting our trail legs. I think another week and we'll be rough and tough and ready to go some more. My wife takes care of the part of the health thing. She carries handy wipes with her, and that's what she uses to wash her face and to wash my face, and she makes sure that I have ointment for sunburn, and we just get along real well that way.
Okay, there, you gotta go shut it off. What a day this is. Going through the jungle, Laya.
I'm here at Standing Indian Mountain. I'm on my 12th day of my through hike. I hiked up here today with Tuluk Slim and Sunflower. We came from over those hills, or maybe we came from over those hills, or we could have come from over those hills. Anyway, we came from Springer up and down over the hills. I'm averaging about 8.5 miles a day, which is a little bit below my estimated 10-mile-a-day average. I know I'll make that up later. I just want to make sure that I took care of my ankles and my knees and just keep heading north.
I think the only thing that'll get me off the trail at this point would be a physical injury of some sort. I mean, I've been out 2 weeks and I'm not tired of anything. Still love to eat oatmeal. Still love my Pop-Tarts.
The hike's been pretty rough on my body. Of course, I'm sure it is on everybody's. I have bad ankles, so I have some ankle support that one of my fellow hikers lent me. I got a blister right there and one right there. One on the side of my toe. I've stayed pretty much with the same people the whole time. I started out with Matt and met up with Mr. B and Otter. It's kind of like a family, and you might get separated for a few days, and then somebody will catch back up to you, or you'll slow down and they'll catch back up. I wouldn't want to do this if I had to do it by myself. I've really grown to love these people, and I know they'd do anything for me and I'd do anything for them.
One of the biggest surprises to me socially on the Appalachian Trail was just the sheer number of people that Jessica and I met. I thought when we were planning that her and I would be the only ones hiking, and we'd be the only ones at a shelter, but there hasn't been one night in the first 2 weeks that we've been completely alone.
About a week ago, I was at 54 pounds, so somewhere along the first 2 weeks, I eliminated about 16 pounds. Most of that was food and also some books. One thing I unconsciously eliminated as far as weight is my left contact. So I'm wearing these glasses, which I'd like to get rid of, but obviously I need them now. And I was getting ready to put one in, and a gust of wind came and blew it away.
Well, here we are, our first rainy day. We didn't think it was ever going to rain. We like to hike in that sunshine. But here it is raining this morning. We got our jackets on and prepared for it, and looking forward to a day walking in the rain. And on the positive side, it's a warm day. It's a nice warm rain, so even if we do get a little bit wet, well, that won't hurt anything. That's quite a trip. Started out liking it, and the more I walked, the less I liked it. These are sleeping bags, and this is the biggest problem we've faced so far because our bags aren't rated for cold enough weather, and we've been cold at night and we've had to wear jackets to keep warm. And the plan is when we get to the next outfitter that we're going to buy a liner for the bag, probably some, what do they call those liners? The flannel liners. They seem to be the warmest, and put that flannel liner inside and hope that keeps us warm and for the rest of the trip. But if you can't sleep comfortable at night, well, you can't hike very well in the daytime. You have to be well rested so you're ready to go on the trail.
On the trail, it doesn't take a thru hiker long to figure out what works and what doesn't work. But you can learn a lot before you go. And before you went on your trip, how did you make your gear choices?
The first thing I did is I found a reputable outdoor specialty shop with a well-trained staff.
Well, that was quite a few years ago, and a whole lot's changed. I mean, just the variety in packs alone is bewildering. How would you choose, say, just between internal and external frames today?
If I were going to hike the whole trail again, I probably would pick an external frame pack like this one for 2 reasons. The external pockets make it much easier to organize your gear, and the suspension system keeps the pack bag off your back, and it's much cooler during the hot months of the summer.
These internals are really popular with thru-hikers. You know, there must be reasons.
Yeah, much greater size availability for a good custom fit, and they also afford you a lot better freedom of movement while you're on the trail.
Now, as far as shelter, with all the lean-tos on the trail, do you even need a tent?
Well, it's important for hikers to maintain independence, and you can do that really 2 ways. One is to pack a lightweight tarp like this one. The other is to pack a quality 3-season tent like this one here. This weighs a little bit more, but it also has the advantage of the no-seam-proof netting, which really keeps the bugs off.
Now, what about your sleeping bag choice?
While you're out on the trail, you're going to be out for 3 seasons, and if you're going to pack one bag, I'd recommend a 20-degree synthetic fill mummy bag like this one. A lot of hikers, though, opt to pack a lighter weight bag for the hot months during the summer.
You pretty much live on your feet out there, so footwear is pretty critical, right?
That's probably the most important equipment decision hikers make, is the kind of boots they're going to carry. And almost all hikers blow out at least 1 pair of boots along the way.
And look at the array of boots. How do you choose from this?
Really, the choices are pretty simple. You can choose between a lightweight boot like this one. It's much easier to break in, but it also has a lot of seams. Most hikers opt for a mid-weight boot like this one. It's single-piece construction, a lot fewer seams, much better ankle support. But whichever boot you choose, it's important to break in a second pair before you start your hike as a backup.
Okay, I just came up from the falls. I had an easy day today, and I realize now, after going through most of Georgia, Tennessee, and North Carolina, which were the building block states for me, is that I need to build my mileage on a more consistent basis. And I am a solo hiker, and I do go at my own pace, which has kept me injury-free up until now, and I'm not experiencing pain. But what I do need to do is find a way for me to get that higher mileage in. And one thing is I can get up earlier, I can stay out later in the day, and I can also lower my pack weight. And one of the things I'm going to do is send back my stove and my cook set. Just keep a cup and a spoon. I'll hold on to them until I get through the Virginia Highlands, because it can get pretty cold there and it's dangerous to be without something hot. And we'll see if that helps.
The group I was with has split up. Most of the people have moved ahead, and I'm sitting here in Irwin, Tennessee, waiting for some new gear to arrive. I've had some gear problems. So hopefully I'll catch up with them, because I really enjoyed being with people my age and hiking at the pace we were hiking. So hopefully I'll be able to catch them by Damascus.
This week has been a really tough week for me. Just about every day I've cried. It's more mental right now than it is physical. I didn't think it was going to happen this soon. I thought, oh, it happened in Virginia, but I'm still in Tennessee, and it's happening right now. The other day it took everything I could do just to get to the next campsite. A few things have changed. Cricket, Sorefoot, and I aren't going to be hiking together for a little while. We've been together for 5 weeks, and I think it's time that we take a little break from each other. We've been getting on each other's nerves and picking at each other just a little bit too much. So I think a break away will do us some good. We've been like family, but you know, even family members need a break away from each other every once in a while.
We're down the trail 450 miles now, and we've learned that being on the trail, like for 10 days, we run out of clothes, and that's why we're at the laundromat this morning washing clothes. Sometimes we have to almost go 2 times around on our clothes because they get so dirty, and the time stretches on.
We've lost a couple of friends in our church. We talked to the minister this morning, and he was telling us about that. I kind of miss home.
I'm in the hostel called The Place in Damascus, Virginia. One thing that's neat about a hostel is you get to meet different people, and we compare our pain a lot of the times with our sore toes and sore knees and sore ankles. And here's an example of some feet. Those feet walked 32 miles in one day. Being here at the hostel, I found a number of people who have dropped that I've known, and it's kind of a sad thing. The one lady had blisters on a number of toes and up to 3 blisters on each toe. She tried to take care of them, but they tried to put a lot of miles in a day, and I think that finally took its toll. And it makes me wonder if I'm next.
I'm sitting in the front yard of the Place, a hostel in Damascus, Virginia, and 451 miles away from Springer Mountain. I started 7 weeks ago. And I finally caught up with my old friend Jessica, who I started with, and we hadn't seen each other for about 10 days now, and caught up with her this morning. Little does she know, however, that she's not going to see too much more of me again, because I basically hobbled into Damascus on a sore leg, went to the doctor this morning, and was treated to somewhat of a surprise. Although I knew my leg hurt, I didn't think it was as serious as it was. And although you can't really tell anything obvious from the x-ray, I was diagnosed with a stress fracture.
There's a pony right behind me. We're in the Virginia Highlands, and they're right along the AT. This one has been, I've been playing with him for a little while. He's real precocious. Such a great way to start the morning. I couldn't believe it. Smile for the camera. It's getting harder as days go on to hike by myself. I'm trying to find people that are my speed that I could hike with. It gets pretty lonely, and all those fears come into your head, and they almost get overwhelming. And it's nice to have somebody to talk to and to take your mind off of it. I'm hoping I find a partner.
I'm about 2 weeks behind schedule, the schedule that I planned for myself before I came out here. I'm in Virginia. It's about a quarter of the AT. My major concern is still trying to build up consistent 15 miles a day. I've lightened my pack. I'm getting up early, staying out late. It's still hard to get the consistent 15 miles. But my immediate goal right now is just to get to the halfway point, and that's Harper's Ferry.
I know when I talk to my son and my daughter back home, after I've talked to them, I have a real lump in my throat saying I want to go home, but yet I feel like I have committed myself that I want to go on and see if I really can do this trail. As I told Jim in the beginning, we weren't going to kill ourselves and we weren't going to ruin our bodies on it. So far our bodies have done well, and I think if I keep it in my head, we will finish this trail out. I know there's this, when we get farther east up into Maine, that sort of scares me. I've heard different things about the White Mountains and everything, and so, but I'm going to put it in the Lord's hands and let Him take care of it for me.
We've never been to the point where either one of us said that we're going to quit or we're ready to quit or anything like that. We've never talked negative about finishing this trail. We've just kept encouraging one another and kept going.
So you don't even need maps, you just follow the blazes?
Right, well the theory is that from one blaze you can see to the next, but it doesn't seem to be the case here.
Yeah, well let's ask this ranger here.
Hi, how you doing?
Hello.
Can you tell us where the next white blaze is?
Yes, ma'am, that'll be here to your left.
Okay, thanks very much.
You're very welcome.
I'll bet he gets asked that question a lot. But what's it really like out there?
Every day there's a mountain to climb. Every day there's the challenge of new terrain, staying hydrated, staying energized. Frankly, I don't find any day easy. Every day is hard, but doable.
Well, how do you do it?
I stay positive and I never think that I can't do it.
You're doing a great job, Rosie.
Thanks, John. See you in Maine.
Okay. Well, Rosie once told me that her feelings were hurt when someone said that she didn't look like a thru-hiker. After all, she said, what's a thru-hiker supposed to look like? That's a good question. Here on the Appalachian Trail, the only difference between a thru-hiker and the rest of the world is that the thru-hiker took that first step and kept on walking. Will our thru-hikers make it to Mount Katahdin? That's another good question. We'll find out as we make our own adventure on the next Trailside.
Dinner time on the trail. Ramen noodles, noodles and sauce, sausage, sauce and rice, rice and beef, beef jerky, oatmeal, raisins, ramen noodles, noodles and sauce, sauce and rice, rice and beef, beef jerky, oatmeal, raisins, ramen noodles, noodles and sauce, sausage, sauce and rice, rice and beef, beef jerky, oatmeal. What a meal. These noodles and sauce dishes have finally gotten to me, and I've decided to add a little meat to my diet. You may wonder what a mouse tastes like. The best explanation I can think of is that it tastes a little like chicken. And one extra bonus, if you dry the tails just right, they make a mighty fine toothpick. Well, we're discussing the layering of the foot system. First of all, you start with a foot.
And about 15 feet before I hit the trees, I just went down.
Then for the sore spots, you apply a little cream.
I wish I could just stay in my sleeping bag and not get up, not hike.
For the tough spots, little moleskin.
As I told Jim in the beginning, we weren't going to kill ourselves and we weren't going to ruin our bodies on it.
And last but not least, your smelly sock. Actually, this is one of my wheels. I wish I could rotate it, but unfortunately I can't.
Do these people have the endurance to complete a thru-hike of the Appalachian Trail, reaching Mount Katahdin in Maine? Hi, I'm John Viehman. Join us for the conclusion of our two-part special as we make our own adventure on Trailside. You're bound to come across a few tight spots on a 2,100-mile hike. Here in New York, the locals call this section the Lemon Squeezer. Now on that end of the squeeze, the Appalachian Trail leads over the peaks of New England all the way to the northern terminus in Maine. And walking that way through 9 states will take you all the way to Georgia. And it was there last spring that we asked 27 hikers to record their dream of walking the entire trail, completing what's called a thru-hike. Now, most of them were novices, and chances are that of that original group, No more than 9 will make it past injury and the blues to come through this squeeze, and even fewer will finish. Now, we've checked in with them along the way, but for the most part, we've tracked their progress through video trail journals that they've been keeping themselves. But before we see how and if they're going to complete the trip, let's take a look at a few of the highlights from part 1.
Hi John, I'm Beverly Hugo. I'm talking to you from my home in Portland, Maine, and I'm just a few days before my thru hike. I can't even put my sleeping bag in my compression sack. How am I going to walk over 2,000 miles on the Appalachian Trail? I realize now, after going through most of Georgia, Tennessee, and North Carolina, which were the building block states for me, is that I need to build my mileage on a more consistent basis.
It's something that I've always wanted to do since I was young, and reading a book that came out, I believe, in the early 70s called Walk Across America just kind of confirmed my feelings that I'd like to meet different people along the way and just experience some adventure and see what would happen. Had some other pain this past week in my hips and back, my right knee, but fortunately for me it's just kind of moving around from spot to spot.
I've wanted to do the AT for a while now. Started planning in August, so I think I'm pretty prepared. Still have some doubts about some things, but I figure time will work those out. There's a pony right behind me. I'd hike alone during the day, and at the beginning I really liked it because I had time to think and I could listen to my Walkman and just sit around if I wanted. But now it's getting, I don't know, I like having company. I like it when I get into camp and there's people there.
Well, we've been married together 35 years, and I'd read about the Appalachian Trail several years ago. In fact, we went to an Appalachian Trail convention over in Pennsylvania, and we enjoyed that. And the first thing we noticed there was most of the people at the convention were older folks, not younger folks. Well, here we are, our first rainy day. We didn't think it was ever going to rain. We like to hike in that sunshine.
I know when I talk to my son and my daughter back home, after I've talked to them, I have a real lump in my throat saying I want to go home, but yet I feel like I have committed myself that I want to go on.
Taking that first step on the AT is a big commitment, but sticking it out to the end is what being a thru-hiker is all about. Well, now into their 3rd month, our hikers are endurance athletes, easily hiking 15 to 18 miles a day with a 40-pound pack on their backs. For them, life has been reduced to a few basic questions like, where's their water and where do they sleep? Well, let's see how they're holding up.
There's a snake in the pond. I think it's a water moccasin. Oh, it gives me that heebie-jeebies. I'm gonna have dreams about snakes crawling on me tonight, I bet. The last few weeks have been good weeks, but they have been tough weeks mentally. I've been thinking kind of about pulling off the trail. I remember at the beginning of Springer, this was one of my doubts or my fears that maybe I wouldn't want to continue, and it's finally started popping into my mind. And people have been very supportive out here, some of the people I've been hiking with.
Yeah, I think it's important to be able to pull off, like to stop and take a break.
Yeah, but the only thing that sucks about that is if you pull off or take a break, then everybody that you've been hiking with goes on.
Yeah, that's the big dilemma.
For those folks that didn't meet us down at Springer Mountain, I'm Tuluk Slim, and Sunflower is behind me. We don't normally hike this way. I usually hike behind Sunflower and draft along behind her like a race car because it helps me to go a little better. We're up in Pennsylvania now, and we're feeling well, and we're happy that we made the halfway point on this trail. That was a very exciting thing for us. And now we're getting excited about going up in the northeastern states. We've heard stories about how hard the hiking is up there, rock climbing, how the weather can change in a moment's notice. But we considered what happened down south. One of the natives told us that the rattlesnakes would kill us and the wild boars would just tear us apart. And that didn't happen, so I don't think anything will happen in the northeastern states either. And we're really excited about going up there. Sunflower?
I'm just happy to be on the trail now again. I had second thoughts about getting off, but I stayed on. I set myself some goals. I celebrated my birthday out here on the trail. I made it to Harper's Ferry, and we got to the halfway point. And I'm looking forward to getting up in the eastern states. I hope they're as beautiful as I've been hearing about.
On the trail, it seems like food is one of the main things that we talk about. When we get into town, we're going to eat this, we're going to have pizza, and we're going to have chicken and mashed potatoes and roast beef. And everybody gets aggravated when we get talking about food. It just makes your mouth water.
People ask us what these are. And I had one person just tell me that it was asked me if it was a chaps, and I said, no, they're called gators.
And we were in a truck stop yesterday, and a lady truck driver looked at those gators, and she said, are you folks bull haulers? It looks like you've been cleaning out the trailer. And we both had a laugh about that because of what she said. But she was kind of right, because they get pretty muddy on the trail, and we wear these mainly for safety. It protects our legs against poison ivy and keeps the ticks off our legs. And as you can see, there's mud on there, and we'd be pretty dirty if we didn't have the gaiters on.
I'm totally soaked from my head to my toes. After 5 days of rain in a row, it dries out for 3 days. My boots get dry. Now they're totally soaked again. I'm getting tired of wearing wet clothes. Every day it's wet clothes. This rain, I've had rain for around 25 of the last 40 days, and I'm getting tired of it.
I just came up over that road, and I'm about to head up here in what's been described as Dante's Inferno. The sun is coming out right now. It's the hottest part of the day, and it's going to be broiling going up here. Well, I think I'm almost at the top, but so far it hasn't been nearly as difficult as I expected. I'm in the infamous rocks of Pennsylvania. I've lost 33 pounds, gone from the large waistband to the small waistband, let my hair go short, all the gray's coming in. I'm doing things I never thought I could do. Why doesn't it seem, though, that it's just not enough? I have to be out here a few more months, and I really hope to have some answers to that before the time is up.
It's not surprising that thru-hikers have a hard time leaving the trail when they've finished. In fact, some of them even go back and hike it again. Others volunteer time to help maintain it, and a few even luck out and get a job related to the trail. Well, Bob Williams has done all of the above and now works at the Trust for Appalachian Trail Lands. On the trail, he's known as Locomotive. Now, what's the story behind that name?
Well, my hiking friends say I got it from hiking fast and covering a lot of miles in a day.
Well, I bet you're still glad to see these shelters at the end of a long day, huh?
I sure am.
Now, where'd they all come from?
Well, in the 70-year history of the trail, these have been built by trail volunteers and by government agencies.
How many of them are along the trail?
There are hundreds of them. They're spaced at about 10-mile intervals all up and down this trail.
And are they all about this size?
I know it varies from about 4 to about 20. This one here sleeps about 7, I'd say.
What about rules or regulations for staying in them?
Well, there's really only one rule, and that's first come, first served. Normally when you get into a shelter like this one, people will spread out their things, and when you get in there, they'll move it aside and make a place for you. My own personal preference is to sleep over against the wall, and the reason I like to sleep against the wall is because then I only have to contend with one hiker sleeping beside me here. Of course, if I get in at the end of a long rainy day, I'll sleep anywhere in this shelter.
This is a different type of a shelter tonight that we're in. It's all enclosed. Normally they're just three-sided. And this one's got all kinds of bunk beds. And I'm getting ready to make Jim's bed up right now. I have mine already done. I'm blowing up the air mattress now.
It's a quiet night here at the shelter tonight, and I've come outside to enjoy the outdoors. And as you can see, the fireflies are out tonight. I remember the fireflies from when I was a child, and they're always very fascinating to watch. And we'd play games and catch fireflies and run and play and have a good time. And it reminds me of my childhood every year when the fireflies come out.
Wrongway and I have been hiking together for about 3 weeks now. Started in Virginia and we've made it to Pennsylvania. Got to reach the halfway point together. We've been having a really good time hiking together. We're pretty good friends, really good friends. Oops. A little bit about trail romance, or whatever you want to call it. I guess that's what you would kind of characterize what Wrongway and I have. It's funny because if you had to categorize our relationship as something, I guess it would be considered trail romance. Although I prefer just that, we're just really good friends, and who knows what's going to happen after the trail. And it's two different worlds, the trail and the real world. They're not really comparable.
Happy birthday, Sans Souci, the Big 4-0. Lori Atkins, the umbrella lady, and Leonard Atkins, the habitual hiker.
About 900 miles ago, I was supposed to start doing 15 miles a day. It didn't happen then, and it's not happening now. I've only had 1 week with over 100 miles. And now, with this heat and humidity, I'm not even going to worry about it anymore. I did a little math. I figured out I can get there with less than 15 miles a day. I'm just going to have a good time and relax and move north.
We got some fabric softener pads, and so we tie them on our shoulder straps here. We have little loops that we put them through, and they help keep the bugs away from your face and around your ears. And I also like to use the fabric softener pads in our sleeping bags and in our air mattresses, and I also stick them in my boots. Well, providing that you like the scent that they give off, but it's a good clean scent.
What do feet with 1,700 miles of the Appalachian Trail on them look like? No blisters. And I attribute that to my insoles, which are starting to wear through in some spots. But for the most part, they've done their job, and with a little over 400 miles to go, I think they're going to complete the job.
I was really fortunate on the trail to find one of these magic sticks. This is a stick that was made by someone who calls himself the Appalachian Trail Stick Man. And he leaves these sticks across the trail or by the side of the trail. And this one was found in Massachusetts. It had a note around it tied with a pink ribbon. And he had a few lines written, and he left his name and address, and he asked to send him a note and let him know where the stick was found and where it was going. And you can see that it's been very, very lovingly carved, and I am absolutely delighted to have this stick. So now I'm hiking with 2 hiking sticks.
Wrongway and I are out doing a little day hike. We're just off the summit of Mount Washington in the White Mountains, and we're staying at one of the huts just on the other side of the summit. So we wanted to go and do some exploring around this area since we had most of the afternoon free. We've been hiking together since Virginia, which is about 2.5 months, probably of hiking together, and having a partner has been great. It's had its ups and downs, to say the least. But for the most part, it's worked out great, and have a lot to look forward to. We have the rest of New Hampshire and Maine and the 100-mile wilderness, and of course Katahdin. It's all looking pretty good from here.
It's cooler out today. The season's changing. We picked up our winter clothes at Hanover. My son sent the clothes to the post office. We got the fleece tops, and we got fleece pants. We got our long underwear and our hat and our gloves. Everything we think we need to keep warm as the cold weather comes on. And the bugs haven't been as bad either since the weather's changed, and we appreciate that.
So we're going to take off these softener claws now and throw them away. We won't actually throw them away. We'll put them in our trash bags in our bag here, so we won't be littering the place up.
I'm up here on the summit of Mount Garfield, and right over my shoulder is the base of the old fire tower. I've been using these 2 sticks going up and down the White Mountains, and I really like the rhythm and balance. I thought it would take a while to get used to, but it took me less than an hour, and I just really like going with them. All along in this hike, I've been struggling with this regaining a sense of self-confidence and self-esteem. Trying to lose weight. I've lost 50 pounds plus 10 before I came out here. I feel I need to lose another 30 to get back to where I feel I need to be. Most people who know me off the trail see me as a very self-confident woman with very high self-esteem, and I think I have lost something, and I want to get it back, and I hope by the end of this that I'll have that sense of self back again.
We're right now at Katahdin Stream Campground getting ready to climb Katahdin. So we have about 5.1 more miles left of our hike, and I'm very excited. I can't wait. I don't know what it's going to be like when I get up there, but it's going to be exhilarating, I'm sure. It looks like it's going to be a beautiful day. The clouds are starting to clear off, and we're just getting ready, getting everything packed up for our last 5-mile hike of our journey, and this will be our last 5 miles of our hike together, and then we'll go our separate ways. So it's pretty exciting, a little bit sad, and I think I'm ready. It's been a long journey, and I would not trade this experience in for anything in the world.
I'm really happy that I was fortunate enough to be able to do a through hike. It's some experience I'll never forget the rest of my life. What I hope to do is take back to the other world, or the so-called real world, some lessons that I've learned here on the trail, and hopefully have a more enriched life. One thing I've discovered on the trail is that I really enjoy hiking. I have never done much backpacking before I've done this trip, but I really believe it's going to be a large part of my life from here on out.
It feels so good too, because we got our small backpacks on this morning and our big ones are laying over there in the grass resting, and we don't have to carry them anymore, so we're quite thrilled about that all.
And I'm sure as we go back home and we think back over the trip, why our relationship's going to be stronger, because we shared something together, and it really will always mean a lot to us the rest of our lives.
My last climb, my last day. It's been a long journey. Before I came out here, I only had 2 days backpacking experience. I did everything I set out to do. I'm really proud of myself.
Looks like it's getting pretty socked in up here.
I'm not going back down until I see that summit sign.
Okay. This journey of 2,000 miles began with a single step, and it's ending over 5 million steps later. As we've seen, the Appalachian Trail doesn't present any huge physical obstacles. Even the peaks don't present much of a problem, really. What seems to knock people off is the accumulation of daily setbacks, little hills that become mountains in the mind. In the end, if they've made it this far, they've succeeded because of what they've learned from each other and because of what they found inside themselves. So we'll see you next time on another Trailside.
Doesn't count till you get to
That'll take care of it.
For some reason, the deer flies like Sunflower better than they like to look slim. I think it's because she's much sweeter than what I am.
Available now, a complete series of trailside guides from W.W. Norton. These informative books are fully illustrated and filled with color photography. Titles include Hiking and Backpacking, Bicycling, Kayaking, Cross-Country Skiing, and Winter Adventures. To purchase, call 1-800-TRAILSIDE, 1-800-872-4574, $17.95 each plus $3.95 shipping and handling. Trailside is brought to you in part by Chevy Trucks. Next time you're having fun outdoors, remember, you're not alone. And LL Bean, providing sporting gear and apparel for people who love the outdoors for over 80 years. And Weider Nutrition Group, makers of Tiger Sport bars. Nutrition for your body, fuel for your sport.